After playing so much Splatoon 2 this week, this was a nice palate cleanser. How's it going, guys? My name is Luis, and this is my review of a brand new indie game called Black the Fall, published by Square Enix and developed by Sand Sailor Studio. At first glance, this very much looks like a Playdead game. They're the same studio that brought you Limbo and Inside, and it very much feels like those games as well. In Black the Fall, you play as a character named Black who's headed with this dystopian regime governing his world. He's decided to escape this hellhole and stick it to the man at whatever it takes, even if it means his life. Black the Fall's gameplay is very similar to games like Limbo, Inside, and most recently Little Nightmares, as you're trying to escape this facility while solving the platforming puzzles that come your way. While all of those games have a creepy dark tone to them, I think what sets Black the Fall apart is the focus on political corruption over something like a creepy boat or a weird sci-fi laboratory. If you are a history buff, you'll probably get a kick out of the aesthetic and setting of this game as it takes place in a communist regime, though while it's not technically Germany, it does have a lot of aesthetics to World War II. Another unique thing that Black the Fall does is not really focus on being a left-to-right puzzle platformer all the time. While it still has those elements to it, there are times where you get branches in a path to a specific goal or even just different ways to solve a puzzle, though sometimes those methods will lead to a dead end. Most of the puzzles in this game are actually pretty easy to solve for more of the casual puzzle platformers out there. But I think when you fail at a puzzle in this, it isn't necessarily because you don't know how to solve it, but because you thought of another method of solving it. Solving puzzles in this game is also completely passive. There really isn't ever any direct violence that solves specific puzzles, but there's definitely a sacrifice of fellow men, or at least it's implied. I think that adds some sort of attachment to the characters in this world, both the main character and the other NPCs out there, despite them all being completely silent. While in games like Limbo or Inside, where I didn't really get to meet other characters like myself, I felt bad at times meeting other humans that looked just like me that I would essentially just get into trouble for the sake of helping myself. For example, in the middle of the game you'll earn a laser device that can control other humans to move to a specific location, oftentimes using them as a distraction or a sacrifice for security guard robots. You even meet a robot pal along the way that I got very attached to. It felt almost like having a little pet friend in this very lonely, dark, grim world. Despite using the other characters that populate the puzzles though, you'll often just need to sneak by or create the perfect path for a puzzle, once again enforcing that this isn't really a game that features direct violence as a solution or a method of solving puzzles. In terms of visuals, Black the Fall is a pretty looking game. It gives you the same vibes and aesthetics in terms of just the way the graphics look of Playdead's Inside. The setting is completely different of course, but just the way the polygons are designed, the way the textures are designed, it looks very similar to Inside. Now as for the visual performance, there are a few FPS drops during larger scale environment changes when the camera pans and does a slight transition over to a new environment, and slight animation imperfections like a character not entirely grabbing onto something but more like floating near it. None of these blemishes ever really took away from the gameplay though, and they didn't ever really become annoying either. Now as for the music and sounds, they were just okay. Nothing really that great or astonishing in terms of the actual sounds and the music, but I do want to give credit where credit is due, and that's in the gameplay design using sound. While I wasn't super impressed with the actual audio tracks, there is a puzzle that completely strips you of sight and forces you to focus on the sound to figure out the puzzle. It's a really clever design choice that's a bit short-lived and I wish there was more of. It's actually a bit reminiscent of the audio puzzle in the latest entry of the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Black the Fall is very similar to the classic puzzle platformers that came right before it, while still adding some changes to the setting as well as the gameplay design in the puzzles. With that said, another thing that this game does somewhat differently from those other games like Limbo and Inside is its length. It's incredibly short. Limbo and Inside were already pretty short games, but Black the Fall is even shorter. It literally took me about an hour and a half to beat this game on my first playthrough, and that's why I don't think it's entirely worth the $15 price tag at launch. Don't get me wrong, it's a very interesting journey to take on, especially if you're a history buff, but it's a bit hard to justify with the content, the length of the content, and just how very similar this is to other games in this genre already. While I didn't have a problem recommending a game like Journey that was about a 2-hour game as well as a $20 price tag, I felt like the fulfillment and the experience I got out of that game was completely unique at the time and very just one of a kind. Or as I played Black the Fall, and it does some things differently, but it's not anything revolutionary, something that I say, yes, pay $15 for this 1.5 hour experience that's completely going to change your mind or at least have some sort of lasting effect on you. It's just an interesting journey in my opinion, and something that's probably worth more waiting for a price drop unless you're a really big history buff and you like the whole communist regime setting. Black the Fall is fun, but unless you're eager for another puzzle platformer, I'd say just wait for this one to go on sale. Black the Fall retails for $15 on PS4, Xbox One, and Steam digitally. If you want to check it out though, I'll have it linked in the description down below. Thank you all very much for watching this review. If you enjoyed it, let me know by hitting that like button, and if you'd like to see more reviews on indie games just like this, you might have noticed I've been doing these a lot more often on the Switch console, but I like to do these on Xbox One, PS4, and PC as well. So if you'd like to see more content like that, let me know in the comment section down below, and I'll be happy to work on those. As always, thank you all once again for watching. Hope you guys have a great day, and I'll see you all in the next one.